Sometimes things that are beneficial in our lives, it takes some kind of uncomfortability.
The more truthful you live to yourself, the more authentic existence you're going to have.
I'm sold. I'm ready to apply. Hi, my name's Jocelyn.
Hi, I'm DJ. It's nice to meet you. So tell me about kind of what got you started at Montgomery College.
Well, I came from high school. I had 2 jobs, and I decided that I didn't want to go to school. First, I wanted to get the money. You know, sometimes students, they have a problem with picking money over education or education over money. So I decided I would take education first.
I think that sounds exactly like me. I tried kind of college for a semester. I'm from Florida originally. I tried college for a semester, and I realized that there's this expectation that you need to pick what you're supposed to do at 18, and that seems like an insurmountable thing because I haven't experienced the world yet. So I went ahead and worked just like you, and now I'm back at Montgomery College trying to get that degree.
I completely agree with you. I definitely came from a background where I have 2 kids, so I had to adjust and have that schedule. So I definitely respect that.
So, I mean, you kind of brought up schedule. Like, is routine a pretty big part of your life at this point? I mean, I don't have any kids, so
I'm happy you asked that.
Tell me, yeah.
Well, I have to pay for time. That's how I look at it. I have 2 kids, so it's either 2 days, 3 days a week. I'll put aside that education, and then the rest I'll put aside towards taking care of my kids. In the meantime, that's what I'm focusing on, but as far as making money, I'm on that track.
I love that. What are you going to Montgomery College for?
Well, right now it's general studies, and I'm going into communications.
Oh, really? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I just actually had my first communications class last semester, so that was a really cool experience seeing I don't know, I always looked at it as just talking, but it's way more than that. Communication is so much more in depth.
Yeah, you can definitely develop your confidence in working in front of people and groups on the spot.
How do you like it so far? Is it interesting to you?
I love
Are you still into it?
It's definitely something that's going to be my major later on. So just being there on the communications 108 and then moving on to 204, and then now I'm on the 3rd communications class. So it's definitely something that I want to keep doing for the rest of my life.
What was it like kind of coming, going to college as you and I are both pretty similar in age, I think. What was it like going back to college as an older student for you?
Well, after high school, I graduated in 2012. So after that, I did have 2 jobs, and I decided that I was going to drop one and go to school. But eventually I dropped both because I just loved learning and just being in that classroom setting and working on myself. So I definitely came a long way, definitely.
I came back to school a little bit later like you did, and I felt myself do you ever do this where you're comparing where you're at versus where the 18-year-old student next to you is at?
I'm so glad that you mentioned that because I feel like society has set up this social media where you look at people's pages and you look at how far they've been, how much money they're making, what career path they chose. And when you look at that and you look at your age, you feel like I'm behind. I have to hurry up. I have to keep going. I have to catch up. So,
and it just feels like we tie this like identity to making sure that you're always, it's always so career motivated, it's always so money motivated, when I think the fact that you've fallen in love with learning, I think, is just as much a part of the process of college as getting that degree and walking down walking across the stage.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like it's our right, our duty to make sure that we fulfill those academic qualities when you're in classes. We have to make sure that we're prepared. We read, we write, we make sure that we're participating, and those are things that I have to make sure that I'm on top of when I don't have free time. When I do have free time, I have to make sure that I'm on point when I'm in school, so that they know that I'm there for solely the purpose of education and reading what they give me, the sources that they give me, and making sure that I'm not that student who has that like awkward pause or, oh, I didn't read it. Like, I want to make sure that they know that as a professor, I appreciate them for the knowledge that they're giving us.
Now, how old are your kids?
I have a son and a daughter.
Mm-hmm.
My son turns 5 in May, but he's still 4. And my daughter is 3. She turns 4 in 9/11.
Really? Are they? Are they picking up that sort of passion you kind of have for education? Are you trying to instill that in them?
You have great questions, DJ. Great questions. So my son, I just recently went on Amazon and I bought books, like for math, reading, writing.
Oh, they're like all the STEM kind of stuff.
ABCs, letters, colors. And he's just like, oh, I got homework. But it's not like, oh, I don't want to do it. It's like, I'm proud of it. I'm proud I have homework because my mom has homework. And she always talks about, oh, I have homework. So listen.
It's sort of like you're almost leading by example. And
right.
I don't think a lot of parents, when they have kids, they're also not going out for degrees. So I think it's really cool that you're able to physically show and lead by example with education.
What's your major?
I'm a television major. So I am a broadcast media television major. I've always been obsessed with TV. I joke that TV raised me. All I want to do is just make content for television, for social media, just anywhere that there's a screen, I want my stuff on it, So that's what I'm going to school for. I'm in my final semester here now.
Okay.
And it's just like, that's my big passion, is that all I want to do is television.
Do you have a mentor?
So I have a few, actually. I'm really lucky. I'm a part of the SIMTI local chapter down here. I run the student organization here. And through there, I've met a bunch of mentors that, they're people that have been in this industry for decades, and they're able to just impart all these little tidbits of knowledge that you're not going to pick up in a textbook.
Yeah, I like that. I definitely feel like that's an inspiration. I always have a motto where it's like, I don't want to count the days, but I want to make every day count. And one of my biggest hopes of being in Montgomery College is to find a mentor. So that's why I asked you that.
I've got to be honest with you, the leadership programs that they have here and the mentorship programs they have here at Montgomery College are nothing short of amazing. And that's only because they really look at who you are. You're not just a communication student, right? You're a communication student, with kids who's coming back to college, or you're Jocelyn, right? They're going to find a mentor for Jocelyn. And that's something that I think other colleges kind of can fall to the wayside in some ways. But with Montgomery College, they try to ensure that it's not just somebody who's helping you get your degree or help you with a career. It's a more holistic view of your life with somebody who's in a similar position or who's gone through those things. It's really, really cool.
You seem like you do your due diligence.
I've done a lot of research.
I respect that. I respect that definitely. How old are you?
So I'm 27 years old, and I didn't think that age gaps were a thing until I went back to college. There is something about, when you're with a 18-year-old, 19-year-old, 21-year-old student that you look at and you just think, oh no, you haven't made the mistakes I have yet. But it's fun to kind of be around younger people, which is weird to say at 27, but it really does feel cool to be around younger people. And I get to pick up on cool slang, and I get to make all of my even older friends feel super uncomfortable, because I can just drop words like "it's on fleek" or like "that man has some awesome drip," which is like fashion, I think.
Right. I mean, it's good to be older because then we can have like an impact on the youth and being able to warn them on the mistakes that they can shy from when it comes to like our own experiences.
You know, that's a good way to put it. Yeah. Like I am really lucky in the broadcast media department with the previous experience that I have and the experience I'm getting as a part of the MCTV internship program. I'm able to impart all of that stuff to all of my friends in my classes, and at the end of the day, all of our content looks better for it, you know? I think that, you know, we can get caught up in, especially in some of the smaller majors, you can get caught up in almost what am I doing compared to what the person next to me is doing? But I'm really lucky to be in a program where it's so collaborative and everybody's working so hard to create, you know, something together.
Yeah, I can definitely agree I can relate because when I have my general studies major, it's like, you know, there's certain requirements that I have to meet. I get to be on general studies, general subjects, but it doesn't pay for TV production or theater, so I have to stay in my elements.
Mm-hmm.
So just to see where you came from and the experiences you have, it makes you want to get in that field even more and invest in it.
You know, I am going for my AAS here, the Associates of Applied Science, and it's because of that. Like, I'm not good in general education stuff. When it comes to history, biology, all the STEM fields,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not as strong in. But when it comes to signal flow and video engineering and all of that clicks for some reason. And I'm really lucky that Montgomery College offers these different kind of specialization programs that are able to fill the niche of something that a gen ed degree that doesn't really cover.
Mm-hmm. So what is the internship program and how do I get into it?
Well, the MCTV internship program is, in my opinion, it's a once-in-a-lifetime internship experience. You're working alongside actual producers, actual editors, actual directors, everybody in all aspects of production, and you're learning how a real television station works.
Like today.
Exactly like today, right? It's a real course in filmmaking, is television making and creating content. And I've been so lucky to be a part of some of their, I took over their Instagram for a day, so I was really able to put my own kind of identity and mark on the program, on their page. And I was able to showcase different like tips and tricks that I picked up while here at Montgomery College that I think students would love to know. It was a really, really cool experience, but that's what I guess I take the most away from it is that you get to do everything. You get to do simultaneously everything and anything, which is a very cool experience. And if you're interested in joining it, you just go to the MCTV portion of the Montgomery College website, and under student opportunities, there's a form you fill out, a little application and cover letter. You drop it off to the MCTV offices and you go through the interview process, and then here you are. And one of the cool things you get to do is work with the Smithsonian. We do some of their social videos for their Folk Life Festival in the summer. We cover most Montgomery College events. We do this really cool event called Chautauqua over on one of the other campuses. And in that, the student interns actually get to direct, which is a very cool feeling of like, they're calling camera shots left and right, and is audio ready, and CG, and go and take this, and you feel like it's so cool. It's a really, really fun experience.
It sounds fun. I'm sold. I'm ready to apply.
You know, Jocelyn, it seems like you kind of have it all, right? You're a Latin woman with kids, back at school. You know, are you experiencing any sort of like obstacles, or what is sort of your experience on campus every day?
I have to say that every day isn't easy. The hard work is put in. I try to get results, but I think the hardest thing about being in Montgomery College is to have that respect to participate. And when it comes to speeches and speaking in front of people in groups or anything of that nature, it's important to take that into consideration. When I'm on the spot, it isn't always easy. I have to practice my vocabulary, my grammar, my posture, how I speak to people, the way I say it, how I say it. So I have to be conscientious of how I come off, because I want the person who's receiving my message, I want them to understand it as its intended message. So I want them to understand my message the way that I want it to be intended, and that's why I have to pay attention to myself and how I say it. So I think that's the most important, hardest part about being in college.
When you kind of when you're on campus, right, and you come across just any sort of scenario, do you feel like your background as either a parent or even just having kids, does that prepare you for college in any way? Like, what is it like being able to kind of apply the things you're learning as a parent into your school?
Well, having kids, I think it's more of a motivation. Sometimes when I do a speech or I present, I'll take like my daughter's bracelet and I'll just like hold it under my sleeve and I'll rub it against, and I'll just like, you know, as confidence, just to have confidence and just luck. But as far as anything else, I have to depend on solely myself. I can't take them with me everywhere.
That is a really, I didn't think I was gonna like tear up on this. That's really cool. Like, I think that's an amazing thing to get strength from. You know, a lot of, you know, we're always told like, you know, you always get strength from your parents, but I've never thought just because they don't have kids.
Well, they have a great.
You're able to pull strength from them too. I think is such an interesting kind of relationship. Now, you know, with your Latin background, have you been able to, you know, when you're coming to Rockville and Montgomery College, are you feeling the diversity that, you know, Montgomery College really prides itself on? Do you find, or do you not look at yourself in comparison to others?
I have to be honest with you. As a Latina, my parents are Puerto Rican. They both speak Spanish. Our whole generation of older adults speak Spanish, but all the kids don't. So I don't feel that type of like transition where it's like I don't understand English, because I've been in Maryland for like my whole entire life. So I don't take it as something that is affecting me. I just take it as I look like it, and that's about it. I don't speak Spanish, but my whole entire family does. So that's why it's important to take a language, speak a language, learn a language. That's something that Montgomery College offers, is learning a language. Even if your parents didn't teach you, you can still be taught. It doesn't matter who taught you.
Now, if I can ask, do you feel like isolated within your family, not being able to speak Spanish like your parents or their parents? Is there a divide between the younger generations and the older generations? Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, sometimes I wish I understood what my mother was saying, especially if she's talking about me. I feel like any person who has a different cultural background or a different language, they can use that to their advantage. So that's why it's so important to learn a different language, because you can use that to your advantage. But I don't look at it like that. I think it's better for work opportunities and being able to translate and help others and things of that nature. So I have to ask, where do you come from?
Oof, that is a question. I'm a Florida native, actually, and all the rumors you hear about Florida are primarily true.
I have family in
Do you
Florida.
really? Where
yes.
in Florida do you have family?
I'm Puerto Rican, so in the Bronx, New York, and Florida.
Where in Florida?
Bradenton?
Okay, yeah, that's okay. I'm about 2-3 hours from there at West Palm Beach. So they're like more north. I'm all in the south.
Okay.
I met a girl on the internet. She was a UMD student. We met for lunch one day when I was working up here for some work, and we started dating long distance. And we dated for long distance for about 1.5 years. And I was like, you know what? It's time to close the distance. And I threw out everything I owned and packed up the remaining stuff in 2 duffel bags and 3 boxes. And I moved up to Maryland, and here I've been ever since.
That's faith. You took a leap of
yeah,
faith.
I really did. It was a calculated risk. I like to kind of look at it as. It was the best decision. So it was simultaneously the best and scariest decision I've ever had to make, was moving up here and leaving my family and making an entirely new life for myself.
I'm glad you got out of your comfort zone, because sometimes things that are beneficial in our lives, it takes some kind of uncomfortability.
Well, you know, it's funny you mentioned uncomfort. When I moved up here, so I'm bisexual. I moved up here about 5 years ago, and it was around that time that I came out, because in Florida and the environment that I grew up in, being able to express yourself and be open wasn't okay. And that's not a reflection of Florida, that was just the environment that I grew up in. It was only once that I took that risk of leaving and being with my now fiancée that I was able to really understand and express myself how I've always wanted to express myself. And it's been nothing but a positive thing coming up here.
Wow. That's great. I think you represent a lot of groups. I mean, we learn about things of that nature in school, and it takes a lot of confidence to say what you're saying. And I feel like you're a good representation of everyone who feels the way you feel.
That's too kind. I think it's a matter of living your truth, right? And that's an overused expression, but the more truthful you live to yourself, the more authentic existence you're going to have. And the more fulfilled you are going to be at the end of the day.
Yes, and then you can learn how to be optimistic and genuine and make sure people feel you the way you want to be felt.
It's eloquent, I like that, yeah.
From coming from a Christian background, believing in Jesus Christ, I fully respect everything and anything you have to say. I love everything that you have said today, and it inspires me to make sure that everyone that I meet feels the love and comfort and respect that you have felt today.
I really appreciate that. I think just as humans, we should always try to be comfortable and open and honest with each other. Even if our views don't align, I think it's important that we still have a respect between each other. This has been a really amazing conversation I've been able to have with you today, Jocelyn. You're one of a kind person. I don't think I would have been able to have this conversation with anybody else.
I think that you're unique and that you're special, and that anything that is important to you, go for it.
Gosh, thank you so much. Can I give you a hug? I'm gonna give you a hug.
DJ.
Yeah, it was nice meeting you too.